How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome in to another edition of Insomnia Maniacs Tarot with your host, Tropical Empress in Spirit. Tonight's a special occasion for me, so I'm going to go through and share what today represents for me. So, I initially had no plans on streaming, but I decided because of what today represents that I would. So, since I didn't get a chance to do anything else that I would have typically planned on doing, but that's okay. I still got a couple more days this month to do it on. So, if you're new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Oh, and I guess before I do anything else, I should like that, huh? Yeah. Alright. Let's see. Today is the anniversary date. Death of my father's passing. So, beautiful people, I'm going to share a little bit of my culture with you. And some things that y'all may not know. I'm not sure. Oh, and by the way, beautiful people, hey Lynn, I did start the YouTube memberships here. So I have my Patreon and also have YouTube. So y'all may want to check it out because some of these streams will be specifically members only, and it'll be only members being able to chat with me. So when I figured that out. But anyhow, so it was 19 years ago today that I lost my father. I was 25 years old. And so for anyone out there who has lost a loved one deeply close to you, my heart goes out to you deeply, truly. And it doesn't matter whether it's been recent. It doesn't matter whether it's been years. Because from my perspective and my personal experience, it doesn't hurt any less. It doesn't matter how much time goes by. In fact, it seems like in some sense, it hurts a little more the longer it's been that they've been gone. Because you miss their absence. You miss their presence. You know, you can't just pick up that phone and call and talk to them and say, you know, hey, you know, loved one, I'm having a bad day, you know. I just need someone to talk to, or, you know, hey, you want to go, you know, have dinner or go on vacation, you know. So, I get it hurts. Doesn't matter. And for me, one of the lessons I learned, unfortunately losing my parents very young, my mama when I was 19, but my real father, who died on this day 19 years ago at 25, and then my daddy, who's my stepfather, but it's my second dad, who I call daddy, also lost him when I was 30. So I can relate to that kind of pain of losing someone deeply close. But in my culture, there's two things that we celebrate. Celebrate life, and we celebrate life after death. So, depending on which side of my culture you go to, because if you don't know by now, I'm mixed. I'm Japanese, Hawaiian, English, Irish, and Scandinavian. My Japanese and Hawaiian heritage comes from my father. My English, Irish, and Scandinavian heritage comes from my mother. So today we're talking about my father, which is why I'm wearing this crown you can call it. It was specifically made for me by one of my girlfriends to honor my Japanese heritage, and also for these special days like today, where I would be doing something in honor and in remembrance of my loved ones, even on my Asian side, because obviously I lost my grandparents too, and I also have lost uncles. So I've lost, several people, a lot of people over the years, but I don't think anything has hurt me more than losing my parents. So with that being said, I'm going to share something with y'all that you may not know. Even though I'm a Christian, I'm also raised in a multi-religious family. So, being part Japanese, part of my family is Buddhist. And that's where the whole belief and the tradition of celebrating someone even after death. You celebrate their life here on days like today. And so you may find that people, you might go into Asian markets or Asian businesses, and you might see a Buddha statue set up somewhere. And you might see food laid out on a plate that is offerings to the passed over loved ones, because it's believed that your passed over loved ones can still come down and visit. And not only come down, but they can take whatever food or offerings you lay for them. They could take it back with them into the afterlife. So you'll find some people will lay food. You'll even see where, depending on, where it's at, mostly would be in someone's house if they were to do this, because you can't really trust people anymore. But you would also see them offer money. They'll lay money right in front of the Buddha with incense burning and candles. And also in Japanese Buddhist tradition, the day of the passing for the funeral, depending on which side of the culture you go to, you're supposed to wear black, yes. But some families can ask you to wear a different color. Even though black is supposed to be for mourning. But like in Hawaiian heritage, some families want people who attend the funeral to wear bright colors, like Hawaiian shirts. They don't look at it as a disrespect, showing up in, bright floral shirts, reds, blues, yellows, that kind of thing. So, and also on their mourning, for Japanese, they also, have a way of saying, they're sending their condolences in a respectful way. Don't ask me how to say it, because I never picked up my language, because only my grandparents knew how to speak Japanese. But I know one of the sayings is, be well, we'll meet again. Trying to think of the other one. I remember my family saying. There's another one. And then you'll see where it might be disrespectful, depending on, every family's different, but to actually show up with flowers to lay for the person who's passed away. Instead, people will actually bring an envelope, and it's condolence money to help the family with the funeral arrangements and such. That's in Japanese culture. Hawaiian culture, they actually bring leis. So you'll find that they'll have a picture set up, and true for Japanese, they'll have a picture set up like an altar with candles, incense. But for Hawaiian culture, they'll actually have a lei that's laid over the picture frame of the deceased. And they'll lay all their Hawaiian leis in the casket or on top of the casket before they put the casket in the ground if the person's being buried. So that's part of my Asian tradition. So to honor both my Hawaiian and my Japanese heritage, my girlfriend made this for me. So the bright colors, you know, for my Hawaiian heritage, but the fan, the orchids for my Japanese heritage, plus the chopsticks. And I'll share with y'all something else y'all may not know. There's a legend that dragons were born from koi fish. Yes, you heard me correctly. The legend is that there were koi fish that were streaming upstream, and because of their resilience and the challenges and the obstacles they faced to get upstream to make it to a waterfall called the Dragon Gate Fall or something like that, once the koi fish made it up the stream. And, you know, it would be downhill with the waterfall. Before they came to that waterfall, they transformed from a koi fish to a dragon. So that's why dragons and koi fish are very important symbols in Asian culture, but specifically Japanese culture. So I did pull a couple oracle cards from my Hawaiian and Japanese oracle decks that I have. So, but I thought I would share that tidbit with y'all. Alright. Now, let me get on with pulling the cards for the tarot. So remember, beautiful people, this is a general collective. It's not a personal. Take the messages if they resonate, leave them behind if it doesn't. If something doesn't fit, don't force it to fit. So, alright. Spirit. First, let me find out. What is this about, Spirit? What's the overall energy, Spirit, for this reading? Ooh. Really, Spirit? Okay. Well, let's find out. Alright, Spirit. Show me. No, you did not, Amanda. Almost dropped our whole deck on the floor. That deck is slippery. Holy cow. Alright. Alright, Spirit. Show me recent past pertaining to the overall energy, Spirit. Recent past, Spirit. Alright. Present energy, Spirit. Oh boy. What's at the center, Spirit? Yeah, too many cards, Spirit. Come on now. What's at the center, Spirit? Advice. Alright. As soon as possible, outcome, Spirit. Well, there was something y'all were happy and excited about. But I'm not getting that energy you're excited or happy about it now. With the devil energy right here in the present. Alright, Spirit. Assistant. Alright. Before this thing falls down. Holy cow. Alright, Spirit. Clarify, Spirit. Tell me more. Yikes. Well, there's something in your recent past energy. This feels like a relationship. This situation, this doesn't have to be romantic, because this feels like this has either friends or family tied to it. But I feel like this is involving a special occasion of some kind, possibly even a holiday. Could even have been just Halloween passing, or maybe it's the upcoming holiday of Thanksgiving here in the U.S. With this Three of Wands, it was something you were excited about, but now you're kind of like on defense with this Seven of Wands. Standing up, protecting yourself, your boundaries. Because there's something that you're arguing with someone over or fighting with them over. And I feel like there's something that's being hidden from you. But more so, I feel like there's even something that you might even be hiding. Trying to protect yourself from others with the Seven of Swords in reverse. So, Spirit, clarify this devil. What's the devil here? Boy, someone's ego's getting the best of them. Give me more, Spirit. Someone feels defeated. I get the energy of someone who, you know, someone who, we'll just say, is very confident in themselves. But I feel it's like a false sense of being confident. With this devil in reverse, being confirmed by the Hierophant. Someone who knows a lot, who's very intelligent, has a lot of knowledge. I feel like you being at odds, or someone you're dealing with that you're at odds with, and it's going to vary because this is a general collective. Someone either you're at odds with, or this could be yourself, like fighting, battling over something to me that doesn't make much sense, because it's almost as if I get the energy of someone who thinks they know it all, that you can't tell them anything different. I pick up the energy with this devil in reverse, my way or the highway, with the Hierophant there. They think they know more, and even some of them may think they're better than you. Maybe you think you're better than others. I don't know. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just a messenger. And I feel like, you know, it's kind of been a challenge. Yeah, Spirit's even telling me this comes around. It seems to affect the whole family dynamic, is what Spirit just said. Because they're showing me a gathering. They're showing me being in someone's kitchen. And I see people standing around everywhere. And I see a big table and plates of food everywhere. So this is some kind of event, some special get-together, holiday, where it seems like this one person can ruffle some feathers at these get-togethers. And it feels to me now like I'm almost getting the energy of, because of the scarecrow being the overall energy, warning, stay away. Spirit's even telling me this is like, you are kind of like being forced to make a decision here, whether to attend this get together, this, you know, whatever this event is, because of ruffling feathers with this devil Hierophant energy. I even almost get the energy like someone's even considered canceling the get together, because more people are coming out now and saying, no, I don't want to attend this either, because so and so is going to be there, and no, I don't want them to ruin my holiday. I don't want them to ruin, you know, this special get together, you know, where we're supposed to get together and laugh and enjoy each other, not be at odds and fighting and conflict. And this could even be someone who abuses alcohol or drugs too, with the devil. So you're standing your ground, and I feel like you're not going to waver with this strength card here in the center. So you're showing me your strength, but I feel like it's faltering at the same time too. But let me get more. Spirit, tell me more. Clarify the strength card for me, please. Yeah, I get 3 of Swords in reverse. You know, I feel like this is really going to hurt you, not being there, because I do feel like you care about this person, but I just feel like it seems like y'all can't get along. There's just too much toxic energy around surrounding this person. But it's like, I kind of almost get the energy, and Spirit's telling me at one point, it was like it was you and one other person who would speak up about this person. And it's not that y'all were like gossiping per se, but y'all were having a conversation about this person, about, you know, the kind of energy they bring, you know, when y'all get together, and how it brings the energy down instead of raising the vibration up, you know, where everybody else is in a happy, good mood. But it seems like, how do they call them? Oh, there was a phrase I grew up hearing. I can't even think of it now. Um, that person getting everybody else down, or causing problems, like starting a conversation, and then, you know, before you know it, it seems like conversation's going fine, you're just talking, and next thing you know, it comes out into a big, huge blowout argument, fight, and tempers explode. So, I feel like this is someone close to you. So, I feel like it's gonna hurt you with this Three of Swords in reverse. But I also feel like it's gonna hurt others too, not going, you know, because it feels like, I guess, severing is what Spirit's showing me. A severing of, like, possibly, you know, if this is a family dynamic, this family being split in half, this could even be, you know, best friends, like college friends, or friends you went to, you know, school, high school with, or even, you know, friends from work. And y'all just become besties outside of work. It's going to create a lot of stress and strain. So on one hand, it's almost like, yeah, we're going to, you know, it'll feel better if we are all there and that person's not there. But on the other hand, it's like, but we're still going to miss this person at the same time, not being there for the same reason. We're going to, you know, enjoy ourselves more by they being absent, if that makes any sense. It's like, you know, a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of scenario. So, Spirit, tell me more. Tell me more, Spirit. Yeah. I feel like there's going to be a lot of truth said. That if you know, doggone it. Hold on. I feel like there's going to be a lot of truth spoken. But I feel like, because I get this Queen of Swords in reverse at the bottom, I feel like, even though the Queen of Swords is someone who's, you can almost call, and don't pay attention to the gender, man or woman, someone who could be cutthroat, we'll say, you know, who's sharp with the tongue, very, you know, witty, usually speaks with logic and rationale. They're not so much, they don't so much react off of emotions, you know, their logic will override their emotions. But I feel like this time they're using their emotions, they're kind of bringing both to the forefront. And I feel like that's going to be a disaster here. So, because again, this seems like this dynamic, okay? How do we make this work? Well, like, spirit, you know, the energy I get, it's like, okay, we want so and so there, but at the same time, we don't want them to bring down the whole event, the whole get together. You know, we want to be happy, we want to laugh, you know, whatever this is. Or it can even be, and it's interesting because I've had this happen too. Let's just say it's the other way around. Let's just say that it is a sad occasion. Let's just say, like, unfortunately, maybe you have recently lost someone and this is a funeral. And, you know, when everybody should be mourning, you know, maybe you have one person that always seems to find a way to enter any event and, you know, make it seem like, oh, well, you know, like, be cold-hearted in a sense, like, okay, well, they're gone, but I'm still here, you know, this is what's going on with me, and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, instead of, you know, being respectful and thinking of the person that, you know, has passed away. So it can even be that kind of energy too. I don't want to say narcissist because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I just say someone who's very selfish, self-absorbed even, which could be why this devil energy is here too. So it's going to be a give and take. I feel like you know, y'all need to sit down and have a conversation before this event happens, if it hasn't happened yet. and lay down some ground rules to where you feel like it's more of a, Six of Pentacles, which is all about give and take, equal give and take, instead of, it being one way and not the other, to where, giving so much but not receiving anything in return. And so Spirit's saying this is like going to happen within the next few weeks. But let me see, Spirit. What's the advice? Advice, Spirit. Tell me more. Wow. Okay, give me one more, Spirit. Tell me more. Spirit saying try your best to resolve this before it comes to that day. And I know it's not going to be easy. Again, I can understand people's feelings going to get hurt. All right, Daddy. It's like even my daddy's showing up. And, he's like, oh, well, let them be butthurt. That would be my daddy. Not my dad, but my stepdad, Even though he had a big loving heart, he could be a jerk at times to the people on the outside. But Spirit's saying try not to make this problem persist on any longer. Stop trying to make things to be ideal or perfect. Like, trying to go into this of resolving this, and it has to go exactly one way and one way only in order for you and maybe the, rest of the people this involves to be on the same table. Spirit's saying don't do that, because I got the Eight of Pentacles. That's about, mastery and expecting perfection. It's not going to go that way. And Spirit saying, with this King of Wands in reverse, stop trying to be overbearing. Stop trying to control everything. It's not up to you to control it, and try to make sure everyone's happy either. It's a joint effort, especially if we're talking about, a gathering that's, you, and even if it's only one other person, like, don't expect it to be exactly perfect. It's not going to, be ideal. But Spirit's showing me that you can work this out. If cooler heads can prevail, if if y'all can be realistic about your expectations and not just, expect it to go your way in order for you or anyone else to be at peace with it or at peace with the resolution to it. So, all right, Spirit, best possible outcome, clarify. Clarify. Yeah, Spirit's saying have patience with this. Start making the plans now. If this event, gathering, whatever this is, hasn't taken place yet, start working and building on it now. Okay, but you're going to have some patience with it. But here you are showing up as the magician, trying to manifest the perfect way you expect this to come out. And Spirit's saying, be realistic, have some patience, but be willing to start and laying out, talking these things out now, getting it out of the way before this event, this gathering, whatever this is, happens. Hell, this can even be like a business meeting of some kind. I just got Thursday. I don't know what Thursday means. Maybe for someone out there, something's happening Thursday. But that might be a good day to have this conversation with, this person or group of people. I don't know. Thursday just came to mind, so. All right. All right, Spirit. I got it. All right. So, I did pull a couple of oracle cards ahead of the stream for this reading pertaining to my culture. I thought it was interesting how, if I can get this to move. Even though I pulled a card for the overall energy of tonight's collective reading, I pulled this from my Asian Lenormand deck, which is the garden, which is all about like a special event, a get together, a meeting, a reunion, which how the collective came out with that. So this is like confirming about this get together, this meeting, this, you know, party, celebration. And I also went through and pulled from one of my dragon decks, since we were talking about my Japanese culture. And the dragon I pulled, fun book. Let's see. Number 10. Being determined. And it says, the determined dragon appears to implore you to dig deep and have the sheer determined mind and might to be you. Yes, you, the person you agreed to be before you incarnated on this amazing earth. Remember back to when you were a child. Who or what did you want to be when you grew up? Are you that person today? If not, why not? This dragon stops and asks you this. Who are you? What are you capable of doing in this life? What have you been putting off for too long because you or someone else talked you out of it? Close your eyes and see the answer. Once it is firmly in your mind, use this dragon's energy, call upon its strength, forget all your excuses, and just go for it, each and every day. The determined dragon speaks to you now, encouraging you to prove to yourself, and only to yourself, that you can be that person your younger self dreamed of being. You could be the best version of you, always, in all areas of your life. This dragon is not giving up on you, so neither should you. So, you know, I read this as that determined mind. You know, the determined mind, when we talk about the overall energy of what this reading's about too. Yes, we can talk about, you know, you being determined to not allow your childhood dreams to get, you know, away from you. Still believing yourself to being that person that, you know, you dreamed of being when you were younger. But when I look at this as being determined, I feel like being determined to bring peace and harmony back to this celebration, this event, this relationship. You know, not allowing your pride, your ego to get the best of you, and still being realistic, to being, you know, the peacemaker, we'll say, to find the middle ground. So, Spirit's asking you to be determined. Embody this dragon's energy with that determined mind to believe that all good will come to be. If only you step forward and stand in your power and your strength and your energy and be courageous and take this on. And yeah, conflict is hard. And, you know, I understand so many of us, you know, try to avoid conflict. You know, some of us don't like fighting or arguing. But sometimes, in order for situations to improve, in order for problems to get solved, sometimes you have to face a little conflict, disagreeing, arguing, that kind of thing. So, in order for, you know, everyone to be heard and feel like they've not only been heard, but they've been understood, and to figure out a way to make it work so everybody wins, you know, because it should never be, from my perspective, you know, it should always be a win-win. It shouldn't be like one person loses, the other person wins. Why? Because it's about y'all's relationship with one another, whether this is one person or a group of people. You know, remember, you both are on the same team. So be on offense, don't be on defense. That's only gonna, you know, make you look like the jerk, will say, and not showing any compassion, remorse, or empathy, which, you know, is interesting because the card I pulled, or one of the shorts I did today, had everything to do with being considerate of others. So, yeah, fight for yourself. I'm not telling you not to. I'm not telling you not to defend yourself. But also still be mindful and considerate of others too at the same time. Spirit's asking you to do both. That's like your challenge. That's to help you grow, to evolve, to be better. And then I pulled from my Angels Ancestors Oracle, which is wild because out of all the cards I pulled the one that jumped out as the one that would represent my heritage. So let me find it. I did have it separated out. See if I can find it. All right. The Sholin Master. Be graceful in movement and action. And it says, you are being guided to flow like water, blow like air, and connect with your purest intentions. Don't feel you need to rush ahead. A gentler approach will be more fruitful and rewarding. Move with subtlety and grace, reach high, but also ask yourself how you can move with the flow of life rather than pushing against it. Do you have the capacity to refocus your gaze at this time? Can you slow down or take more time to soften and breathe as you move forward? All of this will be incredibly beneficial for what happens. For what happens next. So can you move slowly, gracefully? You know, it's like I tell y'all, to flow with the energy instead of fight against it, like water. Allow, you know, yourself to flow steadily, gracefully. Don't fight the tides. Don't fight the rip currents. You know, you haven't drowned. You're a fighter. So move with the water. Flow with the energy. Take a gentler approach. You know, overall being, sure. But when we want to talk about even what this Three of Wands is about, that's what Spirit's asking you to do. Move with grace, compassion, love, consideration. You know, you can't force things to happen, and you can't force things to always go your way. But if you have a softer approach, just maybe, you might get more of what you're wanting or hoping for than you would by forcing and being aggressive in this scenario or situation. But that can be true. In life overall, I'm not saying be a people pleaser. You know, some people can be a, you know, be a pushover. I'm not saying that either. But maybe it's all in your approach. Maybe it could even just be the way you speak. You know, some people, you know, I'll throw myself underneath the bus here for y'all. some people would, take me as, depending on who I'm speaking to, I've always heard that people think I'm from New York. Why? Because they say it's the way I talk. It's, the way I word things, but I guess it's also in my tone sometimes. And I always find humor in that. Um, because y'all know I live in Georgia, and the only other state I lived in is the state I was born in, which is California. So I've never been to New York. Don't know nothing about it. But a lot of people, based on what I've been told by other fellow New Yorkers, they think I'm from New York. So, they may understand me better to where maybe someone who is more, we'll say, um, southern than me, they may not take me as well. They might take me as being aggressive or what's the other word I want to use? Not so much forceful, but I understand. Well, I'll just say intimidating. I've heard that I can be intimidating. So I don't mean to be that way to anybody. I'm just me. I try and speak kindly to people, considerate. Now, do we all have those moments where we, you know, are going through, something and we're not thinking about, how we're, responding to people, our reaction, and maybe our tone can come out differently than how we intended it. Or maybe we just get annoyed, with something in the moment, but it has nothing to do with that person. It might be something we're thinking of, and they just happen to be there at the wrong time. And, they might say something to you, and maybe, you kind of, spit fire at them, and it gets rubbed the wrong way. And it's not how you meant it. But, I understand that sometimes people can take me that way, and it's not meant to ruffle anyone's feathers. But I understand it too. So I try and be, with new people, especially people I don't know. I try to be sweet, and considerate. I am a sweet, kind person, but I understand some people may not take it that way either. It just depends, because some people, especially when we talk about, today, in today's world, there's so much surrounding people trying to protect other people's feelings to where people have become a little too sensitive. So even to someone like me, even when, I know I'm being kind and considerate and respectful of someone else, they may still take it the wrong way, you know. But I can't please everybody. And the same thing is true for you. So you're gonna have to think about that, just, if there is something that's on your mind, that requires your attention, that's not just, an impulsive thought, like, oh, I forgot I need to go talk to so and so. No, something more serious, deeper. Spend the time right now reflecting on it, you know, or even write down what exactly it is you want to talk to this person or group of people about. How do you approach it? Did you cover everything? And, think about your tone. I'm not saying put on a mask, and I'm not saying, try and pretend to be someone you're not, but be in your softer side, be in more of your feminine side, no matter man or woman, because we all have divine feminine and divine masculine energy. So be in more of that loving side. If you can do that, you might light your way. Because the other card I pulled from one of my other oracle decks is illumination. And it says, truth will come to light. But it's also about revelation, about clarity, about wisdom. So maybe right now it's time to speak, to yourself, even to your higher self, to gain that clarity, to who it is you need to talk to, and what it is you need to say, what issues need to be talked about, and so on, you know. And I feel like if you can do that, you might end up being more like the Shaolin master, moving with grace, and also being considerate. And then the last oracle card I got before I pull an angel card. This came out of one of my other decks. So this is like my father showing up for me today. I got the koi fish spirit. And it says, you're manifesting more love, prosperity, and wealth into your life. So be like the fish. Or be like this dragon. Be determined. Remember, in Japanese and Chinese cultures, the koi fish turns into this dragon. In my culture, that's why they're symbols of strength, determination, beauty, perseverance, being courageous and brave. The koi fish are also a symbol of prosperity and health. So be in that energy. All right, let me find my angel deck real quick. This one. All right, Spirit. Show me. Please and thank you. And after I'm done with this, think of a story to share with y'all about my father. Spirit, can I get an angel message, please, for the collective? This deck right. Spirit, may I please have an angel message? Thank you. Move with grace. Can't make it up. At the bottom. Hope. This is a time to learn and adapt. You are being invited to slow down. Take your time and take in the current moment. Stop putting too much pressure and expectation upon yourself, as it's taking you away from your natural attention to detail and the expression of your creativity. There's no need to rush or force your way ahead. Good things happen when you move with tenderness and care. And the positive affirmation you can say is, I trust in the ease and flow of life. I trust in the ease and flow of life. And that's what I got for y'all beautiful people. For the general collective reading, again, that was a general collective. It wasn't a personal. So take the messages that resonate, leave behind the ones that don't. If something doesn't fit, don't force it to fit. And know it's timeless. So even if it doesn't speak to you today, it might speak to you down the road. If you should ever feel called to this reading, it will be here to listen to again, if you so choose it. And again, no, I'm doing personal paid readings, but you would have to send your your donation to the link. It's pinned in the chat. If you look at the bottom or the top of the chat, depending on if you're viewing me from a desktop or your mobile device, you'll see my name highlighting yellow. The info is there. So you would have to send the payment ahead of time, because the link for the reading is only going to be for the people who pay for a reading. That will be in it, besides my mods. and me. And then I may share it later with everyone else, depending. So, and let's see, something else I was gonna mention. I think. Oh, the the memberships. I want y'all to know. I now have 2 different memberships now. One's on YouTube. The other one's on Patreon. The Patreon people get more perks. But it, might be a little more expensive for y'all too. So the one here, there's, I think 3 different tiers, I believe. So, some streams will be members only, who will be able to watch it and be able to participate in it. There's also going to be where the chat will only be open to members being able to chat in it as well, once I figure out how to use that. The memberships on YouTube, you get like the shorts. If y'all see my shorts, it'd be something like that where I pull a card. But then there's the option to do a members only stream, which again I'll do. And I'm trying to think what the other one was. I know there was like member shout outs. Or something else. I have to look at it again. But that's on YouTube. So the one on Patreon, depending on which tier you get, you'll get, at the minimum, I post a daily collective every day. And that's just for my Patreon members. It doesn't get posted here. Nobody on YouTube will be able to see it unless they're a Patreon member. Over there, it's also where, depending on what tier you pick, you can get half off of my live stream ratings. There is that. And I think it's in that tier where I do the Zodiac Love readings. So I have Zodiac Love readings each month for all 12 Zodiac signs. I do a singles and also do someone in a relationship for like the person on your mind is what I call it. And then there's a higher tier than that has to do, I think, with wanting like a private one-on-one reading with me, plus getting a recorded reading and that kind of thing. So y'all can decide, but I'm just letting y'all know that's there because soon that's what I'm going to be doing, to where most of it will either be members' participation, depending on, what I do. So, and let's see. Oh, share a story about my dad. Because this is what my Japanese culture, what we do when we celebrate people who have passed away. As some of y'all already know, my father, I know y'all hear me talk about my mom a lot, but my father was also a great bowler. I remember growing up, my mom always talked about, before I found out later that my mama got offered the chance to join the pro tour and tour the country, and I think even tour internationally for bowling to compete. My father was also a great bowler. So my mama, growing up, would talk to me and my siblings about all the times that my dad bowled and how great of a bowler he was because she had said he was like the local pro of the family, which I knew a lot of people growing up respected him. And there was nothing fancy or different or unique about my father's way of bowling. He was your traditional hook bowler, to where my mama was completely opposite. She was a hook bowler, but she had her own unique style. Plus, she had the long fingernails that she could bolt with and not break them. So, many times, growing up, me and my brother, um, at least my older brother, we would end up at the bowling alley just as much as, even after when, we would stay with our mom on the weekends because she would get us on the weekends before I went to live with her permanently. Um, we would hang out at the bowling alley and my father would end up, taking us, not just to a bowling alley, but he also was big into racing as far as horse racing, quarter horses. So we had a couple of trophy horses he raced when I was growing up. And I remember one of the times we were at the racetrack. Um, our horse was racing that day. And I remember my dad came up to me. Of course, I'm a kid. I watched the horse race, but it's not like I really understood what was going on. I didn't care much about it, truthfully. I just like watching the horses and being around the horses and running free, running rampant through the whole racetrack. And so my dad came up to me and asked me, to pick what horses were gonna, I thought were gonna win. Well, again, I'm a kid. I'm like 6, 7 years old. I'm looking at my dad. I'm like, Dad, I don't know. He was like, well, pick. So I pick, and I think I picked like two different horses. Yeah, those horses didn't even, I don't even think I think they finished last. And it's like, you know, and I didn't know it, again, I wasn't into all that. Now, my older brother got into racing and watching and, really studying it along with my father. And um, one day when we went to the racetrack, because it was a weekly thing, we spent at least 1 or 2 nights a week at the racetrack, and it was two different racetracks in California. And I don't think our horse was racing that day, at least I don't recall. But there was another horse, I believe, that was owned by a family friend of ours that was racing. And that's why we went to a racetrack, was to watch the horse race. And so my dad, being the gambler he was, can bet on the race and all that. And I don't remember what my dad said, but there was something about, odds or something. So it's like, I guess there was different ways you can bet on, the horse racing, depending on how you, bet, depending on how much, the purse would be if, the horse was to win and such. My brother bet one way. And so my dad asked me, what my, choice was. And I said whatever I said. And I couldn't even tell you. Would you believe? Whatever I told my dad that day, my dad won huge. I can't remember how much it was, but he won huge. And oh, my brother was so mad. And so, I'm all excited and happy. And me and my dad, we're celebrating because we won, and I know it's several thousands of dollars. And I could not even remember what I told my dad. It's like, but I remember I said, Dad, can I have that pretty purple scooter now? I wanted this purple scooter to ride around the park right down the street from the house we lived in. And, of course, my father would have bought me anything at that point since, whatever I told him, it worked. And I think it even went against even what the family friend had bet on his own horse. And it almost made me think like the horse was gonna win, but I don't know, maybe it had something to do with the timing of how the horse would, finish in. It was something like that. And so my brother was so mad at me though. And I felt bad, because my dad goes up to, cash the ticket in and collect his money. And me and my dad were all excited. My brother's over there, all pissed and, being pissy and everything. And I said something to my brother about, well, I'll let you use my purple scooter. Oh, he was so mad. He was so mad at me. And I told my dad, I said, Dad, it's like, I don't need that purple scooter. Go give it to Corey, which is my brother. Let him have whatever. I don't want him to be mad. I don't want him to be angry at me. So my dad thought that was sweet of me. I mean, my dad was still gonna give me the scooter, and he did, but just the way um, my brother reacted, and so I know we got to go down to the actual track, and we got to take a picture with the horse that won and the jockey with the family friend who was close with both my parents. So that's the only time I could say I won at the horse races. Would never do it again though. Um, and every time I go home, I always think about going to the racetrack just because of my dad. But my dad got too bad into it too. He was addicted to gambling. So, but at least I can say, my dad worked hard. He also worked 2 jobs. So even though he might gamble away, we'll say his paycheck when he probably shouldn't have, he was also working a second job to try and make up for it. And also bowling. So he would bowl, and I would go up to the bowling alley after I moved in with my mama permanently. I'd go up to the bowling alley, watch him bowl 1 night a week. And yeah, it was cool to watch my dad bowl, but it wasn't as exciting as watching my mama bowl. Watching my mama bowl was something very special because, like I said, the way she threw that bowling ball was very unique from a traditional hook bowler, from your traditional bowlers that you see throw a hook ball. So it was something that I could, look almost at anyone who would throw a hook ball and could say, well, that's how my dad throws a bowling ball. But my mama, I still can't explain how she threw that ball. Me and my younger brother have talked about it. It was very special. So, but my dad was a great bowler. You know, I mean, I was always impressed because he would score high. I couldn't even tell you what his average was, but I know he did compete um, in bowling tournaments. We lived in California, and then he got my older brother, involved in it. And they also, the whole thing about fishing in my family too. The men in my family, but even some of the ladies in my family, big fishers. We love to go out and do deep sea fishing. The lake fishing's cool, um, but I like being out there on the ocean. I like catching the big fish. I don't want just the lake fish. I don't just want to catch the um what name? That's interesting. Sorry. But anyways, I didn't want to catch just the lake fish. I wanted to catch the big fish. So I'd get all excited getting out there on the boat with my dad and my brother when we go out into the ocean and go deep sea fishing and catch all the big fish. And um even though I wasn't big into fishing then, I would get bored from it pretty quick. As I got older, I got more into it, and I just love being out there on the water. So that's where that comes from. But yeah, so that's the story of my dad. At least one of my stories with him. Like, I still remember that time we did go to the lake and go camping. We also camped, and I saw this one fish swimming along the shoreline in shallow water. So we were at a lake. And because I wasn't the type to like to sit around and fish, because I had no patience back then, yeah, I thought I was, all happy and excited I was going to catch a fish with my bare hands. Until, you know, when I called my dad trying to hold on to this slippery fish in my hands. Telling my dad I just caught a fish and I didn't even have to wait around and put a fishing pole in the water with a fishing line. And my dad yelled at me and said, Amanda, leave that fish alone, it's sick. It's like, doggone it. So my dad blew my bubble that day, but yeah, I got some sweet memories with him. And his taste of music, because he was from a different generation, because he was born during World War II. In the Japanese concentration camp here in the U.S. So his taste of music is very different from what my mama and then my dad was. But I you know, can listen to that music once in a great while, but no, I gotta listen more of my parents, my mom and my daddy's music. I guess I can call my dad's taste of music is like that jukebox music type. So anyhow, beautiful people. I was trying to put these cards away. That's what I was doing. Where did this one come from? I figure out where all these cards go into now. No, it's not that one. Alright, figure this out. But anyhow, beautiful people. I guess I'm gonna run. So again, if you want a paid reading, the PayPal link is in the chat, but it's also in the description box to this stream. If you pull it up, it's not going to say Tropical Empress in Spirit. It'll say my legal name, which is Amanda. The last name's Nakano. And I know it doesn't, you know, spell the way it sounds. But you'll see my picture because I'm wearing a red top, standing in front of a Christmas tree. That's how you know it's me. So you'd have to send your email so I can send you the stream link for the paid reading stream. Otherwise, you won't find it and you won't be able to get access to it because it's listed as private. Otherwise, beautiful people, I guess I'll see y'all next time. So, I'm going to send y'all away with many blessings, love, and light. Y'all be well. Good night.